Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem Synagogue here in Montgomery, Alabama. I am Rabbi Scott Kramer. To those that don't know who I am, and welcome to those that are online as well as those in person. We are praying out of Siddur Lev Shalem, which again is downloadable from our synagogue's website, aieamontgomery.org. If you would like to use the PDF version of our Siddur so you can peruse it. We will begin on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue, Psalm 95, on page 11. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladunai. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladunai. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu, nekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladunai. Lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena, lechu nerhanena ladunai. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu, nekad mafana betoda. Naria, naria, letzur yeshenu, bizmirot naria lo. Please join me in the English. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Great is Adonai, a greater sovereign than all other deities. God's hands formed the earth's deep, mountain crests too are God's work. The sea is God's, for God made it. Dry land was fashioned by God's hands. Come then, let us bow and kneel. Let us bend our knees in the presence of Adonai who formed us. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Merivah, like the time at Massah in the desert, when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. Arba'im shanakut bedor va'omam toeh levavhem v'hem lo yadid rachai asher nishpati v'api im yevaun el menuchati. Page 13, Psalm 96. Ashiru ladonai shir chadash, shiru ladonai kol haaretz, shiru ladonai baruch shemo, basru meyom leyom yeshuato, sapru vagoyim kevodo, bechol amim nifliotav, ki gadol Adonai. O mehulal miyod, Norah. Alko Elohim, lai lai lai, Kiko Elohim, Ami Melilim, Vadonai Shayim Asa, Hod Ve'adar Lefanav, Oz V'Tiferet B'Mikdasho, Havu Ladonai, Mishpachot Amim, Havu Ladonai, Kavod Vos, Havu Ladonai, Evod Shemo, Seu Mincha, Nvo Lechadzrot of Laila, Shtachavu Ladonai, Behadrat Kodesh, Chilu Mipanav Kol Haaretz, Imrum Vagoyim, Adonai Malach, Avtikum Tevel Balatimot, Yadina Mimbe. Sharim Yismechu Hashamayim V'Tagel Haaretz Ayiram Mayamu Melo Yalo Sadai V'Chol Asher Bo Lai 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 Aziranenu Kolat Seyar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel betzedek, v'yamim be'emunato, yalai la lai la, yai la la lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yalai la lai la lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai. Page 15, Psalm 97. Excuse me. Adonai reigns, let the earth be glad, the many distant lands rejoice. Clouds and thick darkness surround the divine. Righteousness and justice secure God's throne. Fire goes before God, consuming besiegers round about. Flashes of lightning illumine the land. The earth watches and trembles. Mountains melt like wax at the approach of Adonai, at the approach of the Master of all the earth. The heavens tell of God's righteousness, and all the nations see God's glory. Worshippers of idols be shamed for praising false gods. All that is deemed supreme bow before God. Zion hears of it and rejoices. The cities of Judah exult as you, Adonai, pass judgment. You, Adonai, are above all that is earthly, exalted over all that is worshipped as divine. Those who love Adonai hate evil. God protects the lives of the faithful, saving them from the hands of the sinful. Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for the upright. Rejoice in Adonai, you righteous people, and thank God as you pronounce the divine holy name. Or Zarula Tzadik Wilishwalev Simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hoduhu lezecher kadesho. Page 17, Psalm 98. Mizmor shiru ladonai shir chadash, ki niflot asa hoshia lo yemino. Uzaroako Joadia Adonai Yeshuato Leena Goyim Latzit Kato Zachar Chasta Ve'emunato Levei Yisrael Rau Cholaf Se'aret Et Yeshuat Eloheinu Horiu Ladonai Kol Haaretz B'tchum Veranenu V'zameru Zamru Ladonai Bechinor V'kol Zimara B'chatzot Rod V'kol Shofar Horiu Lifnei HaMelech Adonai Yiram Mayam U'Meloho Tevel V'yoshveva Neharot Yimcha Uchaf Yachad Arim Yiranenu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishmot Haaretz Yishbot Tevel B'tzedek Ve'yamim B'meisharim Yalai Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 Yalai la 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 Ya lai la lai la lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai la lai 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 lai. We continue with Psalm 99 on page 19. Adonai reigns, nations tremble. The one enthroned amidst the cherubim makes the world quake. Adonai is great in Zion above all nations. They shall acknowledge your name, saying, Great, all-inspiring, Holy One. A sovereign strength lies in the love of justice, and you forge the paths of truth, judging Jacob righteously and justly. Exalt Adonai our God, bow down before God, the Holy One. Moses and Aaron among God's priests, and Samuel among those who called upon the divine name, called to you, and you answered them. You spoke to them from amidst the cloud. They kept your covenant and the law you gave them. You answered them, Adonai our God. You were a forgiving God to them, even as you punished them for their transgressions. Exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lahar kadosho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. We rise, if you're able, page 21, Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai hamayim, hamayim rabim. Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et alzei halvanom, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon v'Sirion kemo venre'emim, Kol Adonai chotzev lavotesh, Kol Adonai Yachil Midbar, Yachil Adonai Midbar Kadesh, Kol Adonai Yecholeu Ayalot, Vayechasam Yarod, Uvehechalo Kulo Omer Kavod, Kulo Omer Kavod, Adonai Lamabul Yashav, Vayeshev Adonai Melech Leolam, Adonai Oz Leam Oyetem, Adonai Yevarech et Amo Vashalom, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai. You may be seated. We continue with Lecha Dodi, page 23. Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu elam yuchad, Adonai echad, Ushamo echad, L'shemo tiferet velit, Tila lecha Dodi Lekrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekora biracha merosh mikedem nesucha, Sov maseh b'machshvat chila lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzi mitocha hafecha ravlach shevet biyemek abacha, v'hu yachamo alaychem la, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, Hitnari me'afar kumi, Livshevig de tifartechami, Hayad b'nishai beit alachmi, Korva el nafshi geyala, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat nikabela, hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ore, ore, shir daberi, kivod Adonai, alayich nigla, lecha dodi, leikrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela lo tevoshi v'lo tikami ma tishtochachi u'ma tehemi bach yachasu ani ayami v'nivnata ir altila lecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela v'hayulam shisa shahawasayich v'erachakuko mivalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimchas chatana halkala lechadodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela yamin usmoti froti v'yet Adonai taritzi ayadish ben parti v'nismecha v'nagi lechadodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise if you are able, and we face west. We face towards the entrance to greet the Shabbat bride. The last stanza, page 25. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzala toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha dodi lekrat kala Pnei Shabbat nekabela. You may be seated. There's a siddur right outside the door on your right, the large red one. I know they're all red. The one that says Lev Shalem on it. Page 27. Psalm 92. It is good to thank you, Adonai, and sing to your name most high, to proclaim your love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night. Finger the lute, pluck the harp, let the sound of the lyre rise up. You gladden me with your deeds, Adonai, and I shall sing of your handiwork. How wonderful are your works, Adonai, how subtle your designs. The arrogant do not understand, the fool does not comprehend this. The wicked flourish like grass, and every evildoer blossoms, only to be destroyed forever. But you, Adonai, are exalted for all time. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high and anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady, for my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock in whom there is no flaw. Tzadik tamar yifrach ki erez balvanon yiske shetolim bevet Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva deshenim verananim yeyu lehagid ki yashar Adonai tzuri v'lo avlatabo. Page 29, Psalm 93. Adonai is sovereign, robed in splendor, girded in strength. The earth stands firm, not to be dislodged. From earliest time you were enthroned. You are eternal. The rivers rise up, Adonai. The rivers raise up their roar. The rivers raise up their waves above the roar of the vast sea and the majestic breakers of the ocean. Adonai stands supreme in the heavens. In your house, beautiful in its holiness, your holiness endures, Adonai, for all time. So Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'm so glad you were all here with me. We have a lot of people from out of town online that used to live here. Amanda Kaufman, we just lost a light. And Jack London from the Villages. Welcome, Shabbat Shalom. Jefferson Taffet from Georgia. We have a lot of people from out of town with us, and I'm so glad both of you are here. So nice to see you, Rosemary and Kate. A Jewish grandmother went to go visit her daughter in Florida one day. When the woman saw her 5-year-old grandson, she knew he was absolutely the most adorable child in the state of Florida. So she took him out, bought him a little sailor outfit with a cute little hat and shoes, and took him down to the beach. There she walked up and down the shore, bragging and announcing proudly, "Oh yes, this is my grandson." Well, the little boy went to play in the sand, and all of a sudden a big wave came up, picked up the little boy, and went back into the ocean. The Jewish woman was devastated. She cried and cursed and looked up to the heavens, saying, "Oh, please, how could you do this? He was just a little boy, only 5 years old. Oh, what will my daughter say? Oh, please, oh no." Then all of a sudden a big wave came and washed the little boy back onto the shore just the way he was left. The Jewish woman looked up and said, "You know, he had a hat." Thanks to Rabbi Avi Weiss that provided these perfect words for this particular Torah portion, which is the last portion in the book of Genesis, Vayechi. Notified that his father, Jacob, is sick, Joseph, son number 11, takes his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, to see their grandfather. As they enter, Jacob proclaims, "Mi ele." Who are these? Having already been in Egypt for 17 years, is it possible that Jacob didn't know the identity of his grandson? Some commentators suggest a physical reason for Jacob's question, bearing in mind that Jacob could not see, he could not recognize his grandsons even as they stood before him. That happened to Jacob's father Isaac when Jacob stole the birthright from Esau. Other commentators suggest that Jacob's question, "Mi ele," who are these, does not refer to his grandsons themselves, but rather a question about their progeny. Prophetically, Jacob discerned that amongst the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh would be evil people. Jacob inquires, "Who are they? How is it possible that such evil people could come from good people like Ephraim and Manasseh?" Other commentators insist that Jacob asked, "Who are these?" to precipitate a Nachas report from Joseph about the moral, spiritual, and religious progress of Ephraim and Manasseh. But there is another approach. Jacob may not recognize his grandchildren because he had little relationship with them. This could be because Joseph rarely ever took them to Jacob. So something to note. Joseph, as you might recall, was 17 years old when this upstart kid who was favored by his father and his fancy coat of many colors was hated by his other brothers and sold into slavery. And Joseph, immediately upon arrival in Egypt, rises to be the head of the household of Potiphar, and also in the eyes of Potiphar's wife. So he winds up in prison, and he rises to the top of the heap in prison, and because he interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh, winds up number 2 in Egypt. But in all that time, Joseph never sent word back to Canaan to see how his father was doing, or to tell him that he had gotten married and had 2 children. 22 years he was gone. And in another 17 in Egypt when Jacob was there. And in all this time, Jacob didn't know his grandsons, but we don't know exactly why. Joseph may have denied his father this relationship because of possible ill will towards Jacob for having sent Joseph to his brothers to make peace, a plan, of course, which backfired, not to mention, of course, Jacob's favoring of Joseph in the first place. Upset with his father, Joseph never contacts his father for 22 years and blocks his children from developing a close relationship with their grandfather. Another suggestion, maybe mi ele, who are these, is an existential question. Having grown up in Egypt, Ephraim and Manasseh must have on some level assimilated into Egyptian society. Standing before Jacob as Jews living in Egypt, Jacob asks, "Who are these?" What he is really asking is, do my grandchildren identify themselves as Egyptians or Jews? Whichever way one approaches Jacob's mi-ela question, one point is certain. Jacob is the first person to be recorded in the Torah as interacting with his grandchildren on any level at all. Not only does he interact with them, he actually gives each of them a blessing. In fact, the blessing is so powerful, it becomes the standardized blessing of parents to children every Friday night. Placing our hands on our children, we say, "Vayevarech Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chimnashe." May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. A grandparent's relationship to a child on some level, a deeper than a parent-child relationship, unencumbered by parental responsibility. A grandparent blessed with wisdom and maturity of life can powerfully bestow blessings upon their children. In a brief instant, a grandparent asks, "Mi ele," who are these? Not so much as a question, but as an expression of thanksgiving to God for having been blessed with such glorious grandchildren. Even if they are not specifically for grandchildren, may our lives be filled with many such utterances of mi ele, expressions of thanks, awe, and wonder of the incredible gifts given to us by the divine. And I'm just going to end this talk by giving each of you the blessing that I have given to each of my 3 kids since they were born and when they visit in my house and even my granddaughter Daphne and my other grandkids when they visit. And I say to the boys, Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim v'chimnashem, may God make you like an Ephraim and Manasseh. And to the girls I say, Yismech Elohim kasar Rivka Rachel v'Leah, may God make you like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, may God bless you and guard you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, may God turn his face to you and be gracious to you. Yisadonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, may God watch over you and grant you peace and blessing for all time. Shabbat shalom. We will continue our service with a Ma'ariv. Page 39b, we'll take the alternate. We rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach, Baruch Adonai hamivorach, leolam voed. You may be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, you completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next, the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. U'mahavir yom u'mevi laila, mavdil ben yom u'vein laila, Adonai Tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu lam voed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Page 40. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachveinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam voed, ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu u'va'em nege yomam v'layla v'yavatcha tasim mimenu la'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim o'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shachpecha v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotofot b'ninecha Uchtavtam nam zuzat beitecha uvisharecha v'haya im shamo tishma'u el mitzvotai. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'yamarta lehem v'yasu lahem tzitzit al kanfei v'gnehem ladoratam v'natnu al tzitzit akana petiol tachelep v'haya lachem letzitzit oritem oto uzkartem et kol mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam V'lo tatu acharei levavchem v'acharei nechem asher tem zonim achareihem leman dizgaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kadoshim leloechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etechem me'eretz Mitzrayim leot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 43b. You proclaimed the covenant on the seventh day. You declared it and decreed it. We listened and heard it. You loved this day we inherited, delighting in its remembrance, and began its command with the word, remember, Zachor. From the time you bestowed it, joy filled the hearts of Jeshurun, the people you redeemed, securing the cause of righteousness. You exalted Shabbat as a sign between us forever. In 6 days your world was formed, and on the seventh day you rested. And on this day, Israel, your people, rest. To honor your name, they sing songs of praise to the one deserving of praise. Page 44. U'malchuta b'ratzon kibalehem Moshe u'mirem u'vnei Yisrael l'chana shira b'simcha rabba v'yamaru chulam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedor b'kodesh nora tehilot o seifele Malchutecha reuvenecha bokeyam lifnei Moshe zeli anu v'yamaru Adonai yimloch le'olam voed v'nehemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov u'golod mi'od chazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai ga'al Yisrael. Page 45. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom. Ushmotzeitenu veinu l'chaim ushlam yatavi adolam u'fohosalenu skat shlomecha baruch atah Adonai hapochetzu kat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. We rise for Vishamru, page 46. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam v'yom hashvi Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam barit olam. We now take a pause for the silent Amidah for Friday night, pages 47 through 52. This is a time for us to approach God And I always try and bring into my private prayers all of those that I pray for every Friday night. I bring all of my grandchildren, all of my children, and those that I love, and I invite each of you to do the same. Page 47. מודים אנחנו לך. עושה שלום במרמיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. We remain standing for Kiddush, page 55. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri agafen. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kadisho b'yava uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ho'amim, V'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon inchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we remain standing as the ark is open for Elenu, page 56. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gdula liobter bereshit shalo asani kagoye haratzot v'lo sabanu kamishmachot adama shalo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu Shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim nimal u'shchinatu zo b'gavei meromim hu Eloheinu einod emet malkeinu evazulato kakatu b'toratam v'yadatayam v'hashivota elevavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim nimal v'al haaretz mi tachat ein od al kein נקווה לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהר בתפארת עוזך להביא כלולים מן הארץ האלילים קראת יקראתם לתקן עולם במלכות שדי וכל בני בשר יקראו בשמך להבנה אליך כל אישי הארץ יכירו וידעו כל יושבי תבל כי לך תכרע כל ברך תשבע כל לשון לפניך אדוני אלוהינו יכרעו ויפולו ולכבוד שמך יקרייתנו ויקבלו כולם את עול מלכותך ותמלוך עליהם מהר למועד כי המלכותך היא עולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד כך כתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushamo echad. You may be seated. This week we will observe yard sites for Israel Ehrlich, Robert Allen Martin, Anna Ida Sauerman, Chaim Bronstein, Gilson Capeluto, Loeb Kraselsky, Albert Berg, Alan Martin, Dr. Nace R. Cohen, Esther Kaufman, Joe Miller, Joseph Benjamin Sharker, Alice Kleinberg, Moses J. Berman, Kathleen Golson, Jamela Al-Hadef, and Wynn Falk. And we also add one that we are having an unveiling for on Sunday, Linda Taffet. This will be at Greenwood Cemetery at 11 a.m. The unveiling will be on Facebook Live from the Synagogue's Facebook page, Agudath Israel Etz Ahayem. Those observing yard sites and those who mourn, please rise. Page 58 for the Kaddish Tom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah b'yoma divrach chirutei v'yamlech malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'mahu amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'mel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitchomam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran b'yoma v'yimaru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. You may be seated. Thank you all for joining me this evening. Looks like we have probably about 20 or 30 people online. It's really nice to see everybody spread all over the Southeast and some in the Midwest. And maybe one in Arizona, actually. Anyway, I'm glad you're all here. We will continue with services tomorrow morning, 9:30, with Shabbat morning service. We will be here, actually we'll be on Zoom tomorrow evening for the end of Shabbat for our Havdalah, our Alabama Community Virtual Havdalah. If you did not get a link and would like to attend online, again, via Zoom, just email me. at ravmalki@gmail.com. That's RAVMALKI. That's much better than the other email address I have. Easier to remember. And I will get you that link for tomorrow. We have full attendance tomorrow night. Toria and Miriam are back with us, and so we're really looking forward to a fun evening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. A week from tomorrow morning, we have a special treat. On December 25th in the morning, both Toria Stark and Carl Sayers will be with me on this bima, leading Shabbat morning services, and I am so looking forward to that. Y'all know Toria and how wonderful a person and singer she is, and Carl Sayers is also an incredible performer. Those that attended our Hanukkah on Zoom 2 weeks ago know that Carl is an incredible performer. He sang a Yiddish Santa song in klezmer form. It was so funny. And he also sang Hanukkah in Santa Monica by Tom Lehrer, which honestly, I thought I knew every Tom Lehrer song. I guess I didn't. I'd never heard that one. It was performed beautifully. So that's, again, December 25th at 9:30 a.m. If you would like to come and see Toria and Carl live, you're welcome to come. I know that a lot of people are being extremely extra cautious now, that we don't know if Omicron is going to hit us, whether we're vaccinated or not, but we all have to do what we all have to do to stay protected and safe. So I hope that you are all safe wherever you are, but you're also welcome to our vast sanctuary where you can remain safely socially distanced. We will conclude our service on page 211. I have to make sure I got everything in the announcements. Sometimes I run and I forget something. Nope. And don't forget the unveiling Sunday at 11. We conclude our service, page 211, with Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa V'chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemon Nikra Adon, V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nara Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Oveh, V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa V'chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni, Laham Shelo Lahachbira Adon Olam, Beli Reshi, Beli Tachlit, V'lo Oz V'hamisra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa V'chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli V'chai Goali, V'tzorchev li B'yetzara Adon Olam, V'hu Nisi Umanosli, Menat Kosi B'yomikra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa V'chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, B'yado Afkid Ruchi, B'yet Tishan V'yayra Adon Olam, V'yimaruchi Geviyati, Adon Oli V'lo Eira Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa V'chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. And I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for coming. and there come all the hearts.